Nikki Haley is making what could be her last stand for the Republican nomination after making history this weekend. She's betting it all on Super Tuesday tomorrow when voters in 15 states head to the polls. This after Haley became the first woman to win a Republican primary, scoring a victory in Washington, D.C. But she's still far behind former President Trump. Senior congressional correspondent Rachel Scott has the latest.
In the final sprint of the Republican primary, Donald Trump and Nikki Haley bracing themselves for Super Tuesday.
Get everyone you know to the polls so we can trounce Haley.
This is about, do you want more of the same, or do you want to go in a new direction?
With contests in 15 states and one territory voting tomorrow, more than 1/3 of all GOP delegates will be up for grabs. Haley is only falling further behind Trump, interrupted by his supporters at a rally in Maine.
Trump country, remember that!
The former president winning more contests over the weekend, picking up delegates in Idaho, Michigan, and Missouri, rallying the Republican Party around him over his 91 criminal charges.
Over the past few weeks, we've been on a rocket to the Republican nomination. It's been a rocket.
Haley winning over moderates, scoring her first 2024 victory in the GOP primary in Washington, D.C. And as Trump pushes to take over the RNC, Haley now saying she's no longer committing to standing by her pledge to endorse the Republican nominee.
The RNC is now not the same RNC. I think I'll make what decision I want to make.
Haley also with this warning to Republicans that Trump may not follow the Constitution if reelected.
You always want to think someone will, but I don't know. You know, when you go in and you talk about revenge, when you go in and you talk about, vindication, when you go in and you talk about what does that mean?
Now, Colorado is one of those states that will be voting on Super Tuesday. You may remember the state Supreme Court ruled that Donald Trump should be kicked off of the ballot because of his actions on January 6th. Well, that challenge has now made its way all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court, which could issue a decision in just a matter of hours. Donald Trump's name will still appear on the ballot. What's unclear is if the votes will count. Diane?
Senior congressional correspondent Rachel Scott, thank you. And let's bring in ABC's Jay O'Brien at a polling place in Arlington, Virginia, along with ABC News contributor and NPR White House correspondent Asma Khalid for more. Asma, Trump is downplaying Haley's victory in Washington, saying he stayed away from D.C. because it's the swamp. How significant is this victory for Haley?
Well, I would say it's rather insignificant. I mean, Haley has made the point that she wants to stay in this contest so long as she is competitive. She has not won a race until Washington, D.C. And to your point, Trump is winning elsewhere in the country and makes the case that a Washington, D.C. Republican is very different than a Republican in South Carolina or New Hampshire. And there's a lot of truth to what he has to say. I mean, look, I think that Super Tuesday will in many ways solidify what many of us who have been watching these races already believe is rather inevitable, which is that Donald Trump will likely be the presumptive Republican nominee.
Jay, what are you hearing from voters in Virginia about what issues are driving them to the polls tomorrow?
Well, in Virginia, as a state writ large, we've heard a lot about abortion rights being an animating issue. That was mainly true in the state legislature elections in which Democrats captured the House of Delegates. But the other thing I can tell you is there are voters in Virginia for whom Trump is a significant issue. And what I mean by that is you saw in Nikki Haley's victory in the District of Columbia last night that there are moderate Republicans that break for Nikki Haley. We've seen that consistently over the primary calendar. And a lot of those moderate Republicans in Virginia, for instance, live in areas like the one I'm standing in right now, which border Washington, D.C. They're suburbs of the District of Columbia. Nonetheless, as is true in so many of these states, every single one of these states on the primary map for Super Tuesday tomorrow, while there are some moderates that might break for Nikki Haley, consistently polls show Trump beating her in the double digits. Just take this state again, Virginia, where I'm standing. 538 has Trump up 65% to Haley's 14%, Diane.
Asma, the Supreme Court is likely to announce its decision today on whether the former president should be on the ballot in Colorado. How could that decision shake up this race?
Well, the expectation is that the Supreme Court's decision will likely benefit Donald Trump and that he will likely remain on the ballot. Again, I think this goes back to the fact that Nikki Haley has to prove that she has a path to victory. And I think where we look at Donald Trump is that he is likely to be the Republican presumptive nominee, and he has won majority of the states. I think the Colorado decision, which is likely again to rule in his favor, will probably just solidify his odds. I mean, at this point, when you've got a third 1/3 of delegates on the ballot tomorrow with Super Tuesday. This rules heavily in Donald Trump's favor. And I think there's a lot to be said when we look at this contest. This is a rather anticlimactic Super Tuesday. The delegate math favors Trump heavily. The rules in many states have been altered since 2020 to further benefit Donald Trump. And so I think we'll likely see him wrap this thing up pretty soon.
Asma Khalid and Jay O'Brien, thank you both. And we have complete coverage of Super Tuesday all day tomorrow, including primetime special coverage kicking off at 7 p.m. Eastern. World News Tonight anchor David Muir and ABC News Live Prime anchor Linsey Davis will break down the results as they come in right here on ABC News Live.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.